So last class we discussed about how to calculate the Fermi-Dirac distribution, then how to calculate the carrier concentration of electron hole as a function of Fermi level, and then we saw some properties such as law of mass action, how the doping changes the Fermi level, and what is the effect of the temperature. At lower temperature dopant freeze out, at high temperature we have semiconductor turning into intrinsic semiconductor, because intrinsic semiconductor concentration increases with temperature, and once it surpasses the doping it becomes intrinsic again. So in today's class we are going to discuss about generation recombination. Now why is that important? Because most of the semiconductor device, they don't operate in just equilibrium, right? You have to change the carrier concentration, they have to carry the current, right? So this equilibrium has to be disturbed, and when equilibrium is disturbed we have generation and recombination phenomena taking place. Okay, now we know that at equilibrium this equation holds, Np is equal to Ni square, whether it is intrinsic or N type or P type, right? So they will have their individual N and P concentration, but this relationship Np equal to Ni square will always hold. So you have individual piece of semiconductor, right, without doping or with doping, they follow this law of mass action. Now just imagine a situation where you insert some extra carriers, right? Let's say concentration, equilibrium concentration is N naught and P naught, right? And somehow I'm able to add some delta N and delta P, right? Now what will happen? Because the concentration has increased now, right? So now there is more density of electron and holes compared to the equilibrium value. So that means if there is a more electron and holes, they will have more opportunity to come in contact, and they can basically recombine. So these two processes, generation and recombination, are always taking place. Generation and recombination are always taking place. So in a normal semiconductor, where no external effect is there, it is at certain temperature, right? So at certain temperature, the generation and recombination, right? Let's call it R and G. Recombination will depend on product Np, right? Product Np, right? Because equilibrium concentration is Ni square. So if Np product is more than Ni square, then this recombination will be positive. And if Np product is less than Ni square, right? So you can write Ni square minus Np, right? There will be net generation, correct? So if we have added these carriers, there will be net recombination. So recombination will become dominant till it come back to the equilibrium, right? So if you insert these extra carriers, recombination process will be enhanced, then the thermal generation process, and it will bring that system to again equilibrium concentration of N naught and P naught. Okay, so that is basically you can also consider another situation where you remove the carriers, it becomes N naught minus delta N, P naught minus delta P, right? So in that case Np product is less, so there will be net generation, right? And that will bring it to the equilibrium concertation, right? So both cases, whether you insert extra carrier or remove some carriers, system is perturbed, and it will restore, right, by respective process, either generation or recombination, and it will bring it to the equilibrium, and at equilibrium NP is Ni square. So you can say, safely say, that state recombination rate will be proportional to the Np minus Ni square. Now you don't have to write separate expression for generation, right? So if R is negative, it is basically generation. Now what are the mechanisms which help the system to insert the carrier, remove the carriers? And they are called generation recombination mechanisms. So there are different ways that electron and hole can recombine. One possibility is these electrons in the conduction band can react with the holes in the valence band, and when this electron comes to this hole, there is no electron here, there is no hole here, correct? Because this hole is filled with electron. So both are annihilated. So this is called band to band recombination, conduction band to valence band directly. Another one is, let's say there is a trap level. Now where this trap level comes from? The trap level is similar to your impurity level, like you have seen this. This is donor impurity level. Here is acceptor impurity level. Apart from these donors and acceptors, there are other impurities. They are somewhere in the middle of the gap, right? The impurity levels which are in the middle of the gap, they are called deep impurities. Deep impurity levels. So by deep we means they are in depth in the band gap. So somewhere in the middle of the band gap. So like gold and other metals, they usually form a impurity level in the middle of the band gap in semiconductor, in silicon. So this impurity can take an electron from the conduction band and it can release that electron to the valence band. So that is trap assisted recombination. Now which semiconductor will prefer band to band recombination? Which semiconductor will prefer trap assisted recombination, right? That will become clear, and it will depend on their band structure. Another is involving 3 particles, right? This is called Auger recombination. It involves 3 particles. Can be 2 electron, 1 hole, or it can be 2 holes and 1 electron. So when it is similar to band recombination, right? Only thing is that the energy that is released is given to third particle as kinetic energy. So this third electron can take up energy and get accelerated, or third particle can be hole which can take its energy and increase its kinetic energy. Now where the energy going in first case 1 and 2. In case 1, this energy can go as some light, right, or some photon h nu, or it can energy can go as lattice vibration, right? They can transfer this energy to the atoms, right? So these 2 things are called photon, and lattice vibration is called phonon. So concept of phonon is basically similar to the photon. This lattice vibration is also quantized because lattice is periodic, and some they also have these some EK diagram, these phonons, right? So this energy is given as 2 phonons. So that is basically heat of the lattice. So that basically increases thermal energy. So you can have either energy can go as photon, or it can go as thermal energy. Typically, in band-to-band recombination, energy is given as a photon. Typically, in trap-assisted recombination, energy is given as lattice vibration. Now, these mechanisms are reversible. That means an electron from the valence band can make a transition to the conduction band, and that becomes generation. So that is called band-to-band generation. Again, this trap can give an electron to the conduction band. It can take electron from the valence band, just a reverse process. Then it can be trap-assisted generation. Now, Auger recombination is not so straightforward, but there can be energetic particle, right, which knocks the electron in the valence band and it goes to conduction band. So that is also one type of carrier generation process. Now we can broadly classify these mechanisms as involving 2 particle or 3 particle. So in 2 particle, the process can be direct or process can be indirect. So direct is photogeneration, like band-to-band recombination, right? Ready to recombination. So it can, so these two are opposite process basically. In radiative recombination, electron and hole recombine and give out photon. In photogeneration, they take the energy from photon and generate a carrier. Generate electron hole pair. So this is light assisted, right? Or it can be direct thermal also, because at room temperature or at higher temperature, if you increase the temperature, this generation will increase. So this basically also explains, right? If you are increasing the temperature, generation is increasing. So that means equilibrium NP will be higher. Now equilibrium NP is Ni square, right? So Ni square actually increases. So NNP increases, right? Because recombination depends on NP product, right? So this enhanced generation should be same as recombination, right? Some coefficient times NP product, right? So since generation is enhanced, your NP equilibrium value will also be enhanced, right? So one step direct process can be based on photon or it can be based on temperature. 2-step trap assisted is a 2-step, right? Where it takes electron from the conduction band and releases to valence band, or it takes electron from the valence band and release to conduction band. It has another name, named after the scientist who invented this process, who formulated an expression for describing the 2-step process. It is also called Shockley-Reed-Hall generation recombination, or in other words, simply SRH recombination. Another mechanism can be surface generation recombination. Now surface is different from the bulk because surface has some dangling bonds there. So the concept of band gap is not strict here. So at surface, even in the band gap, there may be states, right? So the energy states will be there even in the band gap at the surface. So those surface state can, so it may not be due to impurity. It is a property of the semiconductor. But at the surface, there are states here and they can basically take part in the generation recombination. Then involving 3 particle, you have Auger recombination, where electron takes away the energy, or hole can take away the energy, or it can capture an electron, right? Energetic electron. It can capture energetic hole and make a transition. And there is an impact ionization. A high energy particle, electron hole, will trigger this generation process. Usually seen in devices where there is high electric field, because electrons are accelerated by high electric field and they can trigger this generation process, or this electron, energetic electron, can come from outside. Okay, let us go through them one by one. Now band-to-band recombination. So you see two pictures here. One is in energy space, other is in real space. So energy space is basically this is x-axis, y-axis is the energy, and x-axis basically you can say x, y, z, whatever direction, right? So electron is traveling somewhere in the conduction band, hole is traveling somewhere in the valence band, and this hole comes in contact with the electron, right? Now in physical space they have to come near only, right? So in physical space they come near, but in the same space electron energy is higher, hole energy is in the valence band, right? So you understand, they are coming near in physical space, right? But they have different energy. For example, you can uh, analyze this situation. Two persons are coming in the same space, right? And they have different type of their characteristic, right? uh, they may be different in knowledge, they may be different in martial skill, they may be different in business skill, right? They may be different in some other skill, somebody may have more skill, right? So it is basically skill is like the energy access, right? So they are in the same space but with different energies, and when they come near different energies they can recombine. So this is called direct band-to-band recombination. So this recombination can give out the energy usually as a photon, and some cases it can give out thermal energy also, but the photon one is the dominant one. Now which semiconductor will prefer this mechanism, that we have to find out. Second mechanism involving excitons. Now excitons is basically is like hydrogen atom, right? Where uh, a hole and electron, they are coupled together. So in case of band-to-band recombination, when this electron and hole they come together, they recombine, right? In exciton they don't recombine. Why? Because they form some stable pair where forces are balanced. So of course these electron and holes will be attracted by each other, but this hole will be surrounded by some other electrons also, right? So these electrons, surrounding electrons will exert a repulsion force, right? So these forces are basically balancing out, and these electron hole uh, they move as one particle. So this is one particle. uh, when it moves, right, it carries energy with it, but what is the charge? Charge will be zero because electron is charge q, hole is electron is minus q, hole is plus q, right? So net charge is zero. So if there is a conduction by these excitons, that means energy is being transported without charge being transported. Now the force, attraction force between electron and hole, you can use simple Coulomb's law, 1 over 4 pi epsilon q square by r square. Let's say r is the gap between electron and holes, right? So if a material has high dielectric constant, what will happen? The attraction force will be less and the size of excitons will be bigger. So it can basically, go to several lattice spacings, right? Now you recall what is the radiation in hydrogen atom? In hydrogen atom it is vacuum, right? In semiconductor it is usually semiconductors have high dielectric constant. For example, silicon is around 12, right? So the force will be 1 by 12. So radius will also be bigger. So they also some these excitons in semiconductors, they also show some kind of EK relationship because their range is basically quite big. They are big particles, right? In case of small dielectric constant, attraction force will be higher, right? And they will form a small unit, right? Their radii will be small, and of course binding energy will be more. And for high dielectric constant, binding energy will be less, right? So they will be weakly bounded. So now they especially they are seen at low temperature, very prominent at low temperature. So now what happens? This unit basically moves as a pair, right? Now because they already have some binding energy, so if we are able to recombine them, the energy that will be radiated will be slightly less than the band gap. So they basically create a sub-band gap radiation. So sub-band gap radiation is basically the radiation whose energy is less than the band gap. Okay, and they are seen in different devices such as LEDs, solar cells, carbon nanotubes, wires, all those things they are seen. So this is one mechanism. So generation recombination can be via band to band or it can be via excitons. Another one is, now these two mechanisms are radiative, so they emit a photon. Another radiation is Auger recombination. Now Auger recombination is a non-radiative. Why? Because the energy is not given as photon. It is given as energy to the third particle. Right? Energy is given to the third particle, so it's non-radiative process. Now, if you take earlier two mechanisms, the recombination will be proportional to NP, right? But in case of Auger recombination, three particles are involved, right? So if two electrons, one hole, then is proportional to N square P. If two hole, one electron, it will be proportional to NP square, right? So that means this mechanism will dominate when there is higher carrier concentration. So there is a high probability of getting the third particle in the proximity. So this extra carriers, they can come from either from doping. So if it is highly doped semiconductor, we can expect Auger recombination to play a role, or by some injection or by generation, right? We are getting those extra carriers, right? Such as in solar cells, concentrator type solar cells or junction lasers, right? These mechanisms may dominate, but they will reduce the efficiency of these lasers and LEDs. So they are unwanted in a sense. Okay. Now. Yeah. Okay. There can be recombination via recombination generation centers or called trap levels, right? Through trap levels, right? So electron can go to the trap level and it can be released to the valence band, right? Or it can take an electron from the valence band and give it to the conduction band, right? So how these electrons and holes are trapped? Let's say this is the impurity level, right? So this impurity is lying somewhere in the semiconductor crystal, and its free electron passes by it, and it can get attracted to the impurity and go around it, right? Or uh, this electron moving here sees empty space, right? It can go to that empty space, so that means hole is trapped, right? So this is process. Now this process is usually phonon based, right? So the energy of the electrons is released as phonons, lattice vibrations, right? So they are usually non-radiative. So this impurity is basically capturing an electron, or it can capture a hole, and they can annihilate, right? So This is one mechanism, right? Another, this impurity is usually in the middle of the band gap. It's not correctly shown. It should be in the middle of the band gap. But there are other impurities called shallow impurities. Shallow impurities, right? They are close to the band edges, right? So they can also trigger this process, but they can be efficiency can be different. So now shallow levels, your donor and acceptor levels, they can function as shallow levels or generation recombination centers. Their efficiency is low because again they have to cover a bigger band gap, right? And uh, uh, if there's a largest energy step, let's say from electron goes here and electron goes here, so this bigger step can be radiative, or other way around, there is a step here, so electron can fall here, so this will be radiative, right? So we have discussed the mechanism. I will take one or two questions. If you have any, then we will proceed how to quantify these mechanisms. Any question?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that there was going to be a test this weekend. So could you please give us the syllabus for it?
Whatever we have covered till today.
Including the generation recombination.
Yes, everything. Be ready with everything. Okay, this test will be conducted on the weekend, so be ready.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome. Any other question?
But since holes are imaginary particles, how can we consider forces applied to them?
Okay, you want to know the concept of hole? I will just say in nutshell. Holes are, in a sense, you can say imaginary, but they are basically depiction of empty state. So you let me do one thing. Let me complete this lecture, then I will take another short video um, um, where I will explain the concept of hole. But for now, I can tell you. Let's say if you have this conduction band here, valence band here, right? Now this valence band has EK relationship, right? Let us say there is a one electron has moved away, right? So there is empty space there. Now what we can do? We can put two particles here. Okay, one particle is electron with charge -q and mass m. Another particle is hole with charge E and mass opposite to this electron. Now, can you tell me what is the mass of electron in the valence band? What is the mass of electron in the valence band? Using the relationship D2, what is the expression for effective mass? Effective mass is 1 over h per. Can somebody recall the expression for effective mass?
1 by m star equal to 1 by h bar square into d2e by dk.
1 by h bar square
into d2e by dk.
d2e by dk square. Correct? You can easily verify. See, you have h bar square k square by 2m, right? So you take that derivative. D by dk will be 2k, right? Sorry, h bar square k square by 2m. H bar square k square by 2m, right? So if you differentiate with respect to k, you get 2k here. Another differentiate, you just get 2, right? So 2 cancels, right? So m becomes 1 by h bar square d2e by dk square. Correct? So both are in denominator, right? This is d2e by dk square, right? So m becomes it's other way around. It's h bar square up there, right? Okay, so m.
So we give the expression for 1 by m.
Okay, okay. So either way you can write. Either you can write h bar square by d2 by dk square, or you can write 1 by m is d2e by dk square divided by h bar square, right? So what is d2e by dk square in valence band? Is
Negative.
positive or negative?
Negative.
In valence band, the
Negative.
effective mass is positive or negative?
Negative.
Yes.
Negative.
So if we can assume these two particles are electron with effective mass negative, right? And now we have hole, charge is positive and effective mass is positive, right? So when we put these two particles here, now this basically complete the band, right? We have this electron here and it complete the band. So now we know that full band don't conduct. A fully occupied band don't conduct, so it will not conduct any current. Only component of current that will come from this fictitious particle, which is on the same side as the electron. So again, there is an empty state here, right? Where we are placing two particles, one electron, one hole, right? Now this electron has same property as the other particles. So this basically complete the band, no current will flow. Only current will be due to this particle. Is it clear? Now, what will be the velocity of these two particles? What is the group velocity? What is the expression for group velocity?
d omega by dk.
Okay, d omega by dk. Now, can we write in terms of EK relationship?
d by dk into 1 by h bar.
dE by dk times 1 over h bar, right? Now, what is a dE by dk? Let's say for the two left side, what is a dE by dk? Positive. For right side, what is a dE by dk?
Negative.
Negative, right? So you can consider these pair on either side. So group velocity is negative, right? So if you apply a force, right? Now let us look at this effective from effective charge and effective mass. This electron has effective charge minus E, effective mass minus M. This hole has effective charge plus E and effective charge plus M, right? Now let's say because this group velocity is EK characteristic, let's say we apply some external force. We apply electric field E, right? So what will be the force on the electron? Minus E times E, right? What will be the force on hole? E times E, right? So they are in opposite direction. Now this force is equal to mass times acceleration. This force is mass times acceleration, right? So what is the mass here? Negative mass. What is the mass here? Positive mass, right? So this minus minus will cancel. So their acceleration will be in the same direction. You understand? So what will happen when you apply any external force? These electron and hole which are occupying the same side, they will move together. You understand? They will move together, right? So that means this will be an empty state only. Now when we consider all the electrons, when we consider all the electrons, the current is 0, right? So only current will be due to this fictitious particle. So what we can say, that total current is due to a positive charge particle occupying this empty site, whose charge is plus E and effective mass is plus m star, right? So this is a concept of hole basically, which explains, right, the properties of semiconductor. Now you cannot basically go to the hole band and do all the calculation. Instead of, we can use this concept of a fictitious particle called hole, which is basically the empty state, right? And that basically explains the properties. Now this concept is basically useful when we are dealing with the equilibrium properties of the semiconductor, right? Or their these generation recombination properties. So this concept basically explains. So now you understand. So now I will tell in more simple terms. So when hole is created, that means electron from this place goes away, right? So there's no electron here, right? So this hole band behaves as if there is only one hole, because if you put one electron and hole there, then the contribution of all the electrons is basically no net current. So only contribution is from the hole. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So this is basically the concept hole. You can also explore another thing actually. If you try to look at the EK diagram, right? So EK diagram of hole will be opposite of this thing. So let's say EK diagram for valence band electron is inverted, right? But for holes it will be like this only. It will be minus EK diagram of the electrons. Okay, you think about it, and if you don't understand, I will explain it again. Hey?
Okay, sir.
So should we take 5 minutes break? Let us take
Yes,
5 minutes
sir.
break. Then
Yes,
we will
sir.
continue our discussion. Eh?
Yes, sir. So the test will be on Moodle.
Wait, let me stop.